It was Halloween night in the quiet suburb of Willow Creek. Pumpkins glowed faintly on doorsteps, and the streets were alive with the excited giggles of children dressed as witches, ghosts, and superheroes. But at the end of Maple Lane, in the only dark house on the street, Claire Benson sat alone, scrolling through her phone, the television humming faintly in the background. She wasn't the festive type. She never had been. Her neighbors went all out, spider webs, fake blood, glowing skeletons, but Claire thought it was all childish nonsense. She rolled her eyes as the first knock came at 7:15 p.m. Knock, knock. Trick or treat. She opened the door just a crack. 3 tiny figures stared up at her, a vampire, a pirate, and a princess, their candy buckets held out hopefully. "Sorry, no candy," she said flatly. The princess pouted. "Then why do you even have a pumpkin outside?" Claire frowned. The pumpkin was from last year, dried out and half collapsed. She just never threw it away. "Go bother someone else," she muttered, shutting the door. The kids shuffled away, whispering. A few minutes later, another knock. This time louder. She sighed, grabbed the remote and muted the TV. Trick or treat! This time it was a tall teenage boy wearing a cracked porcelain mask and a long black hoodie. The mask's hollow eyes seemed to shimmer under the porch light. "I said I don't have candy," she snapped. The masked figure tilted his head slightly. "Not sharing." "Not nice," Claire scoffed. "Whatever, loser." She slammed the door. Silence. She went back to her couch, but something about that mask lingered in her mind. Those eyes, they weren't just painted black. A half hour later, the power flickered, then went out. The TV died. The hum stopped, and the room fell into thick, breathing darkness. Claire groaned, fumbling for her phone flashlight. But before she could turn it on, knock. Knock, knock, slow, heavy. "Ugh, seriously?" she muttered, walking to the door. When she opened it, no one was there. Just a small orange paper bag on the doorstep. No note. She looked around. The street was empty. She picked up the bag. It felt wet inside. Disgusted, she carried it into the kitchen, setting it on the counter. She opened it and nearly dropped it. Inside were wrapped candies, but each one was oozing something red, thick, and sticky like blood. Her stomach turned. "Okay, this is sick." The lights flickered back on. She looked up in relief and froze. Someone was standing in the living room, the same porcelain mask. "Get out of my house," she shouted, grabbing a kitchen knife. The masked figure stepped closer, silent except for a faint sound, a whisper that sounded like laughter. She backed away. "What do you want?" The figure tilted his head again. "Share. Or suffer." Her phone buzzed. She looked, a notification from her doorbell camera. Visitor detected, 7:15 p.m., 7:23 p.m., 7:40 p.m., 7:59 p.m. The last one. 8:06 p.m. Visitor still at door. She glanced back. The door was wide open. The masked figure was gone. The room seemed to stretch, shadows bending. Something dripped from the ceiling. Sweet, sticky red droplets landing on her hand. She looked up. Candies. Hundreds of candies were stuck to the ceiling, melted into the plaster, their wrappers pulsing like veins. A whisper surrounded her. "Should have shared. Claire!" She screamed, stumbling backward as candies began to fall from above, each one hitting the ground with a wet splat. leaving stains like blood. The mask appeared again, behind her reflection in the kitchen window. She turned, slashing wildly with the knife. Nothing. Only the faint sound of laughter, like children chanting, "Trick or treat. Share something sweet." Her breathing grew rapid. She rushed to the front door. It wouldn't open. On the door, written in sticky red letters, were the words, "Now you give." Moments later, the house went silent again. The next morning, neighbors noticed something odd. Claire's porch light was back on. The once rotten pumpkin now looked freshly carved, with a wide, grinning face. Inside its mouth were dozens of candies, perfectly wrapped. And at the very bottom, half hidden among them, was a cracked porcelain mask